Available now.
You know the feeling of finding a really good podcast? Or the feeling of someone always being there, like your favorite radio show? Stream CBC Podcasts, CBC Music, and CBC Radio anytime, anywhere. Download the CBC.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon, I'm Josh Crabb. At noon, it's currently 9 in Winnipeg and raining. Showers continuing this afternoon. There's a special air quality statement in effect for the Paw and Flin Flon due to wildfire smoke. We're getting a better idea what northwest Manitoba's fire zone looks like today, and Premier Wab Kinew will get a first-hand look this afternoon. CBC reporter Brittany Greenslade is there.
We're here along Highway 10, just outside of Cranberry Portage. The road is currently blocked off by RCMP, who say the smoke is too thick to allow people through on their own. Instead, they're having cars line up, and they will escort them in a convoy straight through to Flin Flon without stopping, then turn around and do the same for cars coming the opposite direction. A wildfire is still threatening the community. The province's last update put it at nearly 32,000 hectares in size and roughly 1.5 kilometers outside the town. Manitoba Hydro says it has assessed the current damages and crews are working as fast as possible to restore power to the area. To the north, Flin Flon still doesn't have cell phone or internet service. Premier Wab Kinew is visiting the impacted areas to be briefed by the Incident Command. We'll have the latest from the Premier this afternoon. Brittany Greenslade, CBC News, outside Cranberry Portage.
Showers in the forecast for near Cranberry Portage tomorrow may not be enough to put out the wildfires. Environment Canada says there's a 60% chance of showers. Lori Forbes is the Municipal Emergency Coordinator for Cranberry Portage. She's cautiously optimistic about cooler temperatures and the moisture in the forecast.
Every bit of rain that falls from the sky is certainly helpful for sure. I mean, we do need significant rain to really make a big difference here. And the fire is still very dangerous. We need to be aware of that. You know, days have gone by and things have changed and conditions have changed, but this fire is still a very dangerous fire.
Forbes says it's an emotional time for all the evacuees, but it is definitely not safe to return. Ontario is looking for a new approach to combat record auto theft in the province. A new bill has been tabled that calls for convicted car thieves to have their driver's license suspended or even taken away permanently. Here's Ontario Transportation Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria.
Driving is a privilege, not a right. If you're shameful enough to prey on other members of the community for your own reckless gain, you'll lose that privilege.
If the legislation passes, one auto theft conviction could lead to a 10-year license suspension. 3 convictions would mean a lifetime ban, though the penalty will only apply to thefts where there was violence, use of a weapon, or other aggravating factors. Staying in Ontario.
We're building an end-to-end electric vehicle supply chain.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford is announcing Canada's first ever lithium-ion battery separator facility will be built in Port Colborne. That's a small city in the Niagara region of Ontario. The new facility is just one part of Honda Canada's $15 billion investment meant to build the Canadian EV supply chain. Last month, we learned that part of the chain will be in Alliston, Ontario. The Honda investment also includes one more plant. The location has yet to be revealed. A manhunt is underway in northern France after a gunman killed 2 prison guards in an ambush of a prison van. 3 others were seriously injured. Megan Williams has the latest from Paris.
A video recorded by a passenger of a bus asking what's happening as the bus sped past a stopped prison van and a burning SUV this morning outside the town of Incarville in northern France. Authorities say the brazen ambush by gunmen freed a drug dealer known as The Fly, real name Mohamed Amra. The 30-year-old fugitive had been convicted of burglary and indicted for kidnapping leading to a death. Today's ambush is the latest violent incident involving organized crime linked to cocaine trafficking here in Europe.
Tout sera mis en œuvre pour retrouver les auteurs de ce crime abject.
Speaking in Parliament, French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal said no effort would be spared to find the perpetrators. Megan Williams, CBC News, Paris.
Celebrated Canadian writer Alice Munro has died. Munro, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2013, was 92 years old. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson has more on Munro's life and career.
The person crying out, kill me now.
She wrote about the wonders and disasters in the lives of everyday people,
But Alice Munro's short stories were anything but ordinary.
I don't write about, secret agents, but I never consider these people ordinary.
Alice Munro was born in Wingham, Ontario, the kind of small town where many of her stories took place. Munro's life also provided inspiration for the content of her stories.
Of course, it's my mother I'm thinking of.
She lost her mother at a young age. Her daughter Catherine died when she was just a day old. That sense of loss trickled into her stories as they won over readers and literary prizes year after year.
The Nobel Prize in Literature for 2013.
At age 82, she became the first Canadian to win the Nobel Prize for Literature. It was the crown jewel in the career of the woman who, in telling private, intimate tales, ignited the imagination of the world. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
And that is CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local news is coming up at 12:30. Taking a look at the weather in Winnipeg, showers between 5 to 10 millimeters, a high of 11. For Brandon, showers between 10 and 15 millimeters and a high of 11. And for the Pond Flin Flon, that special air quality statement is still in effect.
Hello, my friends. Thanks for joining us today for Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1, 89.3 FM, everywhere on the CBC Listen app, and also on CBC Manitoba's YouTube page. Great to see you. Wish I could see you on this day. Thanks for joining us. Today, in our calling conversation, we're going to get ready for the May long weekend. We're going to talk to a diehard camper and get advice on how to make that experience more fun and less work. But we want to hear from you. Here's our question. What would truly be relaxing for you? Hotel or camping? Where do you want your reservation? Hotel or campground? The phone line's open at 12:30. We're going to meet the new top boss at the Manitoba RCMP. But we begin today talking about a lack of bus service in Thompson. People who rely on public transit in Thompson are once again out of luck. Bus service ended suddenly early this month. A notice on the City of Thompson website says the contract with Maple Bus Lines was terminated May 3rd. Colleen Smook is mayor of Thompson, and she joins us by phone. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Felicia Lobster also joins us today. She's a student at the University College of the North in Thompson and joins us by Zoom. Hi, Felicia. Great to have you with us as well.
Good afternoon, Janet.
So, Felicia, what's it like to have no transit service in your city?
It's dire, actually. It's struggling at times because being a student, it's my main source of transportation.
Mayor Smook, why did transit service end so suddenly earlier this month?
Well, we had been having issues, but the reason it ended so suddenly is that basically the day before we put the notice out to end transit, Maple Bus Lines had laid off all their employees.
Now, I've reached out to Laurie Mann of Maple Bus Lines, and I haven't been able to connect with them yet. But what reason did Maple give you for laying off their employees?
They really didn't give us a reason. I actually had to phone her to get a place where we could even pick up the keys for the buses. And that is basically all the communication we've had. We've had some issues, especially over the winter. There's supposed to be 2 buses running, Westwood and Eastwood bus, and so people should be picked up every half hour. Over most of the winter, people were only picked up once an hour to get to their destination. And especially our Eastwood area, we have elementary schools in each district, but our high school, R.D. Parker, and our University College of the North are all centralized in the Westwood area. So especially the people from Eastwood and Burntwood are very dependent on the buses to get to those schools.
Felicia, what was it like for you to be waiting for a bus and have it not show up, especially in the winter? That sounds dangerous.
It was very hard at times. I had to decide on myself if I was actually going to bundle up in minus 50 weather. I'm being over exaggerated, but it did feel like I was walking through a blizzard at times. I couldn't rely on the transit through winter because it was hit and miss. Like Colleen had said, there was communication issues, and we as students were seeing it, and we were affected by it. And then having no transit out of nowhere, and then being so close to graduation, that could affect a lot of students. That could affect their attendance, that could affect their exams, it could affect all around their whole health.
Mayor Smook, what has been the consistent issue? You say there have been nagging issues. What are these nagging issues?
A lack of, we've had all excuses from lack of bus drivers to lack of maintenance on the buses. We had actually pulled the maintenance from Maple Bus Lines a couple of years ago and taken it to one of the local garages. It still didn't seem to be our total issue. And part of our contract is if our transit buses, which are only a couple years old, they were basically new buses, brand new buses, if they weren't running, Maple did have a clause in it that they were to supply their own buses at a cost per day so that there was always 2 buses on the road. And especially for the last 6 to 8 months, they have not provided or had that second bus, or will phone us at 7:30 in the morning and saying, I don't have drivers today, we can't run transit. And with it being a contract, we really couldn't reach out to anybody else. Even now, we can't just reach out to another contract supplier, being a municipality, because there is a protocol that we have to take. So we have basically taken the buses in. We're getting them checked over because they were definitely not in the shape they should be to be roadworthy. So we are getting them all checked out. And then we are actually, first, we're going to work out better short term. We are going to putting out an ad for drivers, and then the city will be responsible for transit. Now, whether that takes 2 weeks or a month, it's definitely affecting this last month of school.
And Felicia, how are you handling that?
I'm walking to school every day. I got my 2 feet in my heartbeat. I'm determined to finish my courses with an A.
Well, that's fantastic that you're able to, but there could be students with mobility issues who can't walk there. You know, what are you hearing from other students?
I'm hearing we knew this was happening in a sense. We knew as students that the transit was going to decline in some sense. But there is some bias around the community with it. But I believe that our mayor, Colleen Smook, she has the power of positivity, and she's going to persevere through this, and she's going to help us, overcome our challenges as a town. I believe that it takes the whole community to be uplifted, not just our mayor. We have to take initiative as community members to, have our voices heard.
Mayor Smook, how hard is it to recruit workers to Thompson?
We definitely have our challenges getting workers like anywhere else does. We're starting to work with UCN to put in place for more training. We want more workplace training so people are trained for the jobs in the north. We really feel that if we could train our people here in the north, then they would be here to try recruit people from the south, try to recruit from other areas. They come and they just stay a predetermined time, or just until they get enough training here and they move on to other jurisdictions. So it's all been a challenge, but I do believe we are been working with UCN and with other stakeholders. Valet is definitely a big supporter when it comes to funding some of our initiatives, and we've been, working with different people to get things going. And this transit issue, as I say, we've known and been working on it sort of all winter, but with the contract, you sort of hope that people are going to step up. We always try to give the benefit of the doubt. And when the contract was going to be up end of June 24, so we were just trying to hopefully get Maple Bus Lines through to the finish line. And then we were going to relook at the contract, whether the city took it over or whether we put it out for tender again. And at this point, we will take it over as the city temporarily till we make sure the buses are all running right. And then we will talk as a city mayor and council on what we want to proceed with next steps.
Would those bus drivers who were laid off by Maple have a good chance at getting a job with the city then as a driver?
I've already had one reach out to me, and basically he has the right credentials. I told him to make sure he gets his application in right away because, like I said, I think we've already put the ad out for drivers. So those drivers, if they have their criminal checks and they got the proper class of license, they would definitely be, top candidates to be hired back.
Do you have any recourse with Maple they ended their service a month early? Will you get money back from your contract? Is there anything you can do about that?
There likely is repercussions that we could go forward, and a lot of them, would have to go through the legal system and that. So our administration is definitely checking out those objectives, see what we can do. We'll definitely be holding people responsible. How much dollar-wise that we're going to chase after people, that depends whether it costs us more to that. But we definitely will be holding them accountable in many ways.
What happens in the meantime for people is there any transit available for anybody who's up there and, needs to move around and doesn't have access can't walk or doesn't have access to somebody's truck or somebody's car?
Yeah, basically... There's the taxi services here,
right, which is
Is
pricey.
It's costly, for people to take. I've actually had a couple people reach out to me, parents and students that go to R.D. Parker, and I've actually picked up their children, in the morning a couple times to get them to school, so they do. So definitely people are relying on each other, and as Felicia says, we are definitely a community that helps each other, and as soon as we find out people need help, we all step up to the plate and see what we can do. And I'm really hoping that, this gets settled soon and that by September when school goes back in, that we definitely have a positive, stable system that's going. Because with that being said, the school district has reached out. The school district pays us a premium to get all the students to school. So the schools definitely expect that service and deserve that service for their students, so they're going above and beyond what they have to do to get the kids to school. So it's up to us as a city to make sure that we can follow through and get those kids to school.
And Felicia, you're in for the long haul, hey? If you've got to wait.
Yeah, I am. I'm returning back to UCN in September for a 3-year nursing intent program.
Well, that is important education that we need. So keep on walking, Felicia, and hopefully we'll get your bus service up and running again soon, or the city will. Mayor Smook, thanks for joining us. Please keep us posted on what's happening.
I will. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, Felicia Lobster, for joining us today as well.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, I've reached out to Maple Bus Lines. I'll keep doing so, and I'll let you know when I connect with them.
Danse, Anine, Boujou, and hello. It's me, your favorite cousin, Rosanna Deerchild. Guess what? Unreserved is turning 10. That's like 100 in Res Dog years. And to celebrate, we're inviting you to a live taping of Unreserved, May 22nd at the Park Theatre in Winnipeg on Treaty 1 territory. Sherry McKay, Doozy, and Unreserved's Auntie Circle will all be there. Visit cbc.ca/Manitoba/community and click on the link to register.
It is 12:18, and I'm Janet Stewart. You're listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1. We're in May already. Wow, middle of May. So that means May long weekend is coming up, and for many people, that's the start of fun time. What about for you? If your partner, your best friend, walked in and said, "Great news, I've got a reservation for us this weekend," where do you want that reservation to be? In a campground? Or in a hotel? Weigh in on our call-in conversation that begins at 12:30 today. We'll have a long-time camping enthusiast join us to talk us through why he loves camping and also why he's not going camping this weekend. Should be a lot of fun, so do join our call-in conversation. If you want to call now, the number's 204-788-3797. We've got some rain moving through the province right now, and some more rain ahead in the forecast tomorrow. Of course, if that rain falls on our forest fires up by Cranberry Portage, that would be a very good thing. CBC weather specialist Riley Lachuk is keeping a close eye on the weather forecast for us, and he'll join us right after the 12:30 news to update you on the conditions ahead for the forest fire fight and also for your weekend. The RCMP in Manitoba has a new top boss, although this new commanding officer of the Manitoba RCMP is hardly new. He was born in Manitoba. In the 34 years he's spent as a Mountie, he has been posted around our province and also around Saskatchewan. I had the chance to chat with Assistant Commissioner Scott McMurchie recently. First of all, congratulations on the new posting. How do you feel? Or the new appointment, I should say. How do you feel about it?
Thank you very much. No, very excited and just really honored and privileged to be given this opportunity.
You were born in Rossburn?
Yes, I was.
Raised in the Paw?
Raised in the Paw. I consider the Paw as that's my home.
How are we doing with staffing in the Manitoba RCMP at the moment?
That's a great question. Our staffing, it is a little bit of a challenge at this point in time, but we have had some recent success here. We've been able to hire experienced police officers from other agencies, and we've got a few more of those men and women lined up that have put their applications in to join us from other agencies. And even more recently, our training academy in Regina at Depot is starting to ramp up, and we're starting to see our new cadets coming. So those numbers are looking to be a little bit more promising than they were months ago. Just this week, I was over in Regina, Saskatchewan, and we have supported a number of candidates from Manitoba on our Indigenous pre-cadet training program. It's a Depot exposure opportunity for young Indigenous men and women to go and get some experience at Depot and what it might be like, and they get a little bit of an exposure to all aspects of training with the goal, of course, to have them make a full application to join us as regular members. So I was able to spend some time with them on Wednesday.
How important is that form of recruiting in terms of rebuilding trust with First Nations in Manitoba?
It's critical. Our relationship with our Indigenous communities is first and foremost a priority for myself. I've served in Manitoba for a number of years. Worked many years in northern Manitoba in different roles as well. I was for 3 years here. I was the officer in charge of our Community Indigenous Policing Services unit. So having those established relationships and continue to build on those relationships with our Indigenous partners.
We're seeing a lot of concern coming in from our rural communities about crime these days and violence, specifically violence involving younger teens. Why do you think we're seeing more and more cases of violence where the suspects are teenagers?
It's a very good question. I don't know that I have the exact answer for that, why we're seeing, but you're not wrong in that we are seeing a number of violent crimes being committed by young persons. Whether it is involvement in drug and gang activity. We do have some strategies that are being developed and some further initiatives to really address that with youth.
And of course, drugs. We've got a toxic drug supply that seems to be everywhere these days. Winnipeg is a hotbed, but it's spreading throughout our province. How do you tackle that?
That is another significant priority, and I've heard that fairly consistently from rural Manitoba as well as our Indigenous communities, especially those in northern and remote locations where those communities are very afraid of the drugs that are coming into the communities. So really need to really focus on intelligence-led policing, with our detachments and really get that community support, for folks to speak up, provide us that critical information that we need to conduct those investigations.
Again, there's the relationship issue, the trust issue.
Very true. Yeah, no, that's, I say it's, I've really worked hard for many, many years throughout my career in terms of establishing and maintaining strong and healthy relationships. Really, in my role now as commanding officer, really that will be a significant focus to really continue that work. Really want to hear from leaders in the communities, hear from citizens in the communities through their leaders as to what type of policing service they want. We have to look in, like I said, some intelligence-led, some other specialized units. Really focusing on enforcement. But we need to collaborate with communities, with government, with other agencies, non-government, in terms of other upstream supports that are needed in rural and northern Manitoba, in terms of mental health, addictions, so forth. Really addressing some of those issues first and foremost before people become involved in the justice system.
And then what about PTSD care or aftercare for the members themselves? Responding to upsetting, traumatic event after traumatic event takes a toll on a human being.
The mental health and wellness of the employees of the Manitoba RCMP is first and foremost a priority of mine as the commanding officer. Ensuring that have exposure to critical calls, traumatic calls and events, provide them that support through our health services, their own medical practitioners, do debriefings, and really take that time and that opportunity for them to work through that and ensure that they, if they do need a little bit of time off because they've been exposed to something tragic or very traumatic, to provide them that opportunity to get that rest, be in a better position to come back to work. Our programs in that respect here over the last number of years have greatly improved from when I first started in the RCMP many, many years ago. It's very, very focused. We have a very strong employee management relations team here, a member wellness care team, both made up of peer-to-peer officers as well as support staff and connected with our health services programs to provide that support to our members.
What are you most looking forward to in the new position?
It's very new, but really just a bit of excitement, really reinvigorating myself here. We have fantastic employees throughout the force here in Manitoba, and just that opportunity to provide them what they need to do the job that they do to protect Manitobans.
That was the new commanding officer of the RCMP in Manitoba, Assistant Commissioner Scott McMurtry. He's been in the role for about 2 weeks now. He expects a formal swearing-in ceremony will be held sometime this fall.
Falling on hard times, falling from grace, falling on the sidewalk in a drunken haze, falling too easy, falling like my tears, another cry for help, falling on deaf ears, falling like I always do. Her eyes a shade of Lethbridge County blue. You can see the eastern slope kissing the sky. If you get out of the town that she drank dry. Running on empty, running on fumes, running to a gal that kinda looks like you. Running like the devil runs the game I'm in, running out of luck, my edge is wearing thin, I'm running like I always do. Her eyes a shade of Lethbridge County blue. See the coastal range giving way to Pacific breakers and a brand new day.
That's Richard Inman with his song Lethbridge County Blue, written about one of his favorite places in the world. Where are yours? Where are your favorite places to go camping? We're talking camping, and I want to know if for you it's rather a hotel you'd prefer. Our call-in conversation begins in 10 seconds. You can call now, 204-788-0893. Right now, it's time for the news.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon. I'm Josh Crabb. Bell says it is working to restore phone and internet service to people in the fire zone by the end of the day. In a statement, a Bell spokesperson says customers in Flin Flon, Cranberry Portage, and surrounding areas are experiencing outages. It says 8 kilometers of fiber was damaged by the wildfires. Crews have been working around the clock to lay 9 kilometers of fiber and splice it into the system. The company expects to have all services restored to the region later today. The U.S. is quadrupling the tariffs it imposes on electric vehicles imported from China. It's part of a number of new measures targeting Chinese imports, including semiconductors, lithium batteries, and steel. As Richard Madden reports, the effort to shield American industries is likely to inflame trade relations with Beijing.
Steel and aluminum, semiconductors, electric vehicles, solar panels.
U.S. President Joe Biden says the sweeping new tariffs on targeted Chinese imports will protect American manufacturers from what he calls Beijing's unfair subsidies and trade practices. Biden accuses China of flooding global markets by overproducing cheaper electric vehicles, solar panels, and other products through Beijing's state-approved subsidies designed to undercut competitors.
When you make tactics like these, you're not competing. It's not competition, it's cheating.
White House officials deny the timing of this announcement is related to November's election, where both Joe Biden and rival Donald Trump are trying to show who's tougher on China. Beijing is expected to retaliate, further escalating trade tensions between the world's two largest economies. Richard Madden, CBC News, Washington.
In France,
tout, je dis bien tout, sera mis en œuvre.
The country's justice minister promises all means necessary will be used to hunt down and punish the perpetrators of today's ambush. Heavily armed men attacked a prison van in northern France to free an inmate it transported. They killed 2 police officers and seriously injured 3 more. The fugitive is a notorious drug lord with a long criminal history. Hundreds of officers are involved in the manhunt across the country. Canadian writer and master of the short story Alice Munro has died. She was born in Wingham, Ontario, and became known as Canada's Chekhov. Munro was celebrated worldwide, winning 3 Governor-General Awards, 2 Giller Prizes, and the Man Booker Prize, and she became the first Canadian to win the Nobel Prize for Literature at age 82. She wrote about the lives of people that some called ordinary.
I never understand this. I don't know who the ordinary people are, because everyone is extraordinary to themselves.
Munro had reportedly been battling dementia for at least a dozen years. Alice Munro was 92 years old. And that is CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local news is at 1:30.
Thanks very much, Josh.
You're welcome.
CBC's Josh Crabb there with your news updates. Riley Lachuk's our weather specialist and climate change reporter as well. He was in here yesterday talking about drought issues. Right now, sitting in Winnipeg, it looks fairly damp. Still raining out there?
You know, Janet, across southern Manitoba, actually, we're seeing some very rainy conditions across parts of our province. I will start again with the air quality like I did yesterday because we still do have that air quality statement in place for Flin Flon. The PAW, we could see the Air Quality Health Index, a scale of 1 to 10 that Environment Canada uses to kind of gauge the air quality in a particular spot in our province. Could be as high as 10 in some of that localized smoke that is across parts of northern Manitoba. Could see a little bit of haze here in the south this afternoon, but the rain will help kind of dampen that down a little bit. So yes, right now we're looking at a fairly widespread area of some even heavier pockets of rain across southern Manitoba, and even looking into the Brandon region right now, we're seeing on the radar at least the color coding into those purples and pinks, indicating some heavy rain moving through sort of the Highway 10 corridor between Brandon and Minnedosa, even into the Neepawa area, and some of that rain starting to move into the Dauphin area as well this hour. Some heavier pockets starting to push a little bit further to the north. Here in Winnipeg, at least as well, we've been seeing on and off heavier pockets of rain throughout the morning hours and into the afternoon. So yeah, expect a bit of a wet afternoon ahead. And as we look at the next couple of days, we're looking at sort of on and off showers. So we'll see the bulk of this rain sort of taper off as we get into the later afternoon. Mainly cloudy through the overnight period, but some periods of rain still continuing. A little bit more rain coming through first thing in the morning tomorrow. And then we're kind of looking at some scattered showers, at least in the south. Cold front will push across the northern part of the province. This will bring some rain, especially to that Flin Flon, the Pas region, where they are needing some rain to help with the forest fire situation there, and potentially some more scattered showers early into the morning on Thursday. So looking at accumulations, generally we're looking at about 5 to 10 millimeters across the Red River Valley. Could see some higher pockets of accumulation, especially back to the west as well as we get into the later part of the day today. So yeah, general 5 to 10 millimeters. Could see some pockets of higher accumulation in your backyard, per se. 12 is the high in Winnipeg today, looking at 11s through western Manitoba. 16, mainly sunny in Thompson today. 14 tomorrow in Winnipeg. 19s and 20s for the weekend. And we're looking at mainly sunny skies returning as well.
19s and 20s for the weekend.
Yep.
Dry.
Yes.
Yes.
So far.
You mentioned, of course, the forest fire that they're fighting up by Cranberry Portage. Yep. And you mentioned that there were some heavier pockets that you're seeing on the satellite radar moving up toward Dauphin area. Does it keep moving along Highway 10 and up close enough to Cranberry Portage to make a difference?
This particular system, no. But there is an area of low pressure that is going to move along the territorial border between Northwest Territories into Nunavut. The cold front attached to that will bring some showers and some heavier pockets of rain to northern Manitoba through the day. Later Wednesday into Thursday.
Week.
So later this week.
Fingers crossed. We want that moisture right over Cranberry Portage.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks very much, Riley.
You're welcome.
Riley Lachuk will be back on 6 o'clock news tonight, keeping you up to date on all things. All right, folks, join our calling conversation. We're heading into May long weekend, and if it was up to you and you could go away, run away for the long weekend, would you run away to a hotel or would you go camping? The number to call to weigh in on this fun conversation is 204-780-0893. Do you have a camping story you want to share? Do you have a favorite place you love to go to? Join our conversation, 204-780-0893. You know, for many Manitobans, May long weekend is just that, the official start to camping season. Our guest for today's calling conversation is a Manitoban with decades of camping experience. Wade Kaler has a YouTube page called On the Off Ramp, where he and his wife document their adventures. Thanks for joining us, Wade.
Oh, happy to be here.
Now, on your YouTube page, those videos are often you in your little RV, your van.
Yeah.
Those take us back to your tenting days.
Oh, my.
Oh, my. How long ago was that?
Well, this year we've been married 44 years, and we went camping on our honeymoon.
Oh, yeah. That's lovely.
Yeah, Lorraine says we shouldn't brag about that. But.
Oh, really? Because she thinks it's more of an economy thing but it's a lovely memory.
You know what? It is. And we tented for a few years, and then we ended up with a little pop-up camper, and then from there, well, I think we went to 3 different pop-up campers with our kids and that as well, and then eventually into a seasonal trailer, and now with our little van.
And it just changes. But what is it that stays the same?
You know, just that being outside. We both grew up camping, and just being outside is just wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. So for you, no question, if I gave you that call-in question, hotel or campground, you would pick...
No-brainer camping, yeah.
Camping, absolutely.
Yeah.
204-780-0893 is the number to call to join in. If you got questions for Wade, he's been doing this for a long time. He's got some good advice for you. If camping is something that you haven't quite mastered, or you're wondering what's the best way to do it or place to go with a dog or with kids, give us a call and join in the conversation. Toll free, the number is 1-800-268-5483. If you're within Winnipeg or have a phone package that includes free calls, 204-780-0893. 893, just like the numbers on your FM dial if you're in the Winnipeg area. Now, I spoke with Lorraine just briefly and said, May long weekend.
Mm-hmm. We typically wait till the Monday of the May long weekend and then head out.
Why is that?
A couple of reasons. Some is because I know some people can only camp on the weekends. And so we thought, let them have the weekends. We love camping during the week. It's a little quieter.
Yeah.
But we're actually heading west this year to Alberta we're meeting some friends from British Columbia halfway. So
wow.
Yeah.
You're retired.
Yeah.
That's why you have
semi-retired, yeah.
Semi-retired,
Yeah.
but you've got some freedom to
Yes.
move
Yeah.
around outside of the weekends.
Yeah.
So you're heading west and meeting friends. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the friends you make
Yeah.
while camping.
Well, and these are friends of ours that as we raised our kids, they were raising their kids. And we've been friends for, it's got to be 35, 40 years already. And we've camped together for years. And they escaped Manitoba and went to British Columbia, but we still get to camp together. So it's kind of fun.
Escaped Manitoba. I'm going to have to talk to you, Wade, about your choice of verb
perhaps,
there.
Perhaps that was the wrong word.
We've got Renita joining us now. Or it's Renetta, isn't it? I'm saying your name incorrectly. Sorry, Renetta. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome.
How are you doing?
Yeah, fine.
So
I'm always happy to get into the hotels.
Oh, the hotels. So if I asked you that question, your partner comes in and says, "Great news, I've made a reservation for the May long weekend." Where do you want that to be? At a hotel or a campground?
Yeah, I'd say a hotel.
Why?
Well, somehow the outside, I have allergies, and sometimes that grass and all this puffy dust around me would just make me feel itchy and uncomfortable. And in a hotel, it always seems so nice and clean and crisp, and so I'd go for a hotel.
Is it the what's your favorite thing? Is it the fact that somebody else has made the bed?
Not necessarily. I just like the feel of a hotel. It just, I don't mind going to an outside place, but not for long. I've done some camping, but not that I had to do the work. Somebody else did all the work. So I'm retired. So yeah.
Yeah. So you say that like you're done doing the work. Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to put up any tents or have to make fires or whatever. No. And I don't even know how to do it. I used to live in the Philippines.
Oh, okay. Well, someone to teach you. We've got classes now to teach people how to. I asked about having someone make your bed, if that was special for you, because I have to say that's my favorite thing about a hotel.
Oh.
Nice bedding.
No, not for me. No, it's not necessary. I can make my own bed if I have to, and
I can too. I just prefer it when someone else does it,
Really?
and when they do it with really good sheets.
It does look nice when you're going out for some, just going to visit somewhere. And I did a road trip with a niece about a couple years ago, more than 2, in Nova Scotia. And it was also like, are we going to, I said, well, one place we didn't do a bed and breakfast place, we did a hotel. I said, oh, I love this. And she's like, oh, I don't.
Just feels a little bit fancier to you, hey?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. And then just going to eat, like you don't have to cook it over a campfire or anything like that. I mean, I don't really know what it all is involved in camping, but I have a brother who loves to camp, and I have relatives nieces and nephews who probably just go camping all over creation, but not me. This auntie, she likes to be in a hotel.
Well, Auntie Renetta, thank you so much for calling in.
You're
It's wonderful to
welcome.
hear your voice, and have fun wherever you head off to.
Thanks a lot.
So Renetta's on the hotel. She's on Team Hotel. What do you think about that, Wade?
Well, we did do the hotels for a while. We had our family spread out from coast to coast, kids in the West Coast, the other family in the East Coast, and we did the hotel for a couple of years. But I'm a photographer, and I love I don't want to be in the middle of the city in a hotel. I want to be somewhere where there's a scenic view.
Yeah.
So camping gives us a bit more of that. So for us, camping worked much better.
There's something I like about what you hear and what you see in terms of stars when you get away from the lights. Do you ever take pictures of the stars or?
I actually did Northern Lights this weekend.
You did?
Oh, it was just absolutely stunning. Like it was just, it was wonderful to look at.
Where did you go to see them?
We were going to go to Birdshill Park, but I kind of suspected it would be busy, which turned out it was. And we went to the Center of Canada sign on the number 1 highway.
What a great idea.
Yeah, it worked. We had a great time. It was wonderful. There were a lot of good people there. And yeah, it was just kind of fun. I wanted the sign. I thought, okay, this is a Canadian thing. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be kind of fun to have that Canadian logo, the red maple leaf in the middle of the photo. So, yeah.
That's a lovely idea. I can't wait to see that photo. If we get the photo, we'll figure out a way that we can share it with you. Right now, we'd like people who are watching on YouTube or listening to give us a call weigh in. What do you like better, a campground or a hotel? 204-780-0893. Do you have a favorite campground in the province, Wade?
You know, we have a few that we really like. The Whiteshell, of course, has quite a few campgrounds that we like. Otter Falls, for some reason, it's a small little campground, but that being on the waterfront, we really like Otter Falls.
How far is it to Otter Falls?
Oh, maybe an hour and a half from Winnipeg, maybe.
Is there in terms of driving there, do you have in your head, like, okay, it's a long weekend, so I'm willing to go this far in terms of driving? What's too far?
Yeah, if it's just for a weekend, 2.5 hours or something, say Hecla or just some of the places, further north.
The Whiteshell you mentioned.
Yeah, the Whiteshell.
So beautiful there.
Yeah, within 2.5 hours for a weekend, I think is good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it starts to get a little long. For us, we'll usually go 3 or 4 nights for sure at a time, so we can go a little further because you're staying at that point a little further too, or a little longer too. So
Renetta mentioned she has allergies, of course.
Yes.
And
I get that.
You get that? Do you have allergies yourself?
I do. Yeah.
What do you do when you're going camping to protect yourself?
Suffer through it.
Oh, really? It's worth it for you.
Even smoke from a fire pit. Like, we love sitting up by the fire, but if I'm sitting in the smoke for too long, I just get stuffed up and hardly breathing. And
do you take anything for it?
No.
No, you just suffer through it, as you say.
Suffer through it, yeah.
Now, we're having fires, and it's been so dry. What do you do as a camper to make certain you're being safe when you start a campfire?
Yeah, that's a good question. One is make sure that there's always water handy somewhere. So if something does get out of control, you have something to put out the fire. So we know either we have water in our van and we know we have easy access to it if we need it, or if there's a water tap nearby. So that is definitely one of the things. And if it's really dry, I prefer not to have a fire, especially if there's fire warnings out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't even have a fire because of that. So.
Well, I did take a look on the provincial websites to see what warnings were out there, and that seems like everything in at the moment, anyhow, in an approved fire pit is okay.
Yes.
As long as the wind is low. How do you tell when the wind is too high? They say 16 kilometers an hour. How would you judge that without something to measure it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it's kind of an experience thing, maybe, because you can tell when it's just too windy.
How do you tell?
If we can't put our awning up, if it's too windy and we have to put our awning in, then we know it's too windy for a fire as well, too.
If it would be too windy for an umbrella, would that be too windy for a fire?
Well, depending on the umbrella, I guess.
Well,
but yeah, I know what you mean.
Just, I'm trying to think of something that most people could guess. That's it. The leaves are rustling.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Often with campgrounds, you're in shelter too, so that makes it a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
But if you're in a wide open area, if things are blowing around quite heavily, then it's too windy for a fire.
And how do you extinguish your fire? Do you ever go to bed with the coals still glowing?
We do, but usually we're up and we can look out our window and watch the fire from our window. So if we can do that, then we'll let the embers go. And if we do want to go to sleep early, then we'll just put water on the fire.
Okay.
Yeah, we just make sure there's no embers. But we do like to watch the fire from our window as well, too, while we're sitting in bed and, reading or whatever.
It's lovely and cozy, but I just want everyone to be super safe.
Yes.
Let's not accidentally start any fires.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you think of a story where everything just went wrong on a camping trip? Maybe it was a torrential rain. What do you do to prepare just in case there's torrential rain?
We've had snow.
You've had snow.
We've had snow on a May long weekend. We'd wake up Saturday morning and the pipes were freezing. So we had no water access because our pipes started freezing.
In your van?
In the van.
Well, at least you weren't on the ground
No.
in your tent.
No, exactly. And we did kind of keep we have a furnace. We kept it warm.
It's a bit of glamping.
Yeah,
You've gone to glamping, man. You've got a furnace. You've got pipes. Come on.
We have our own washroom.
If someone is going camping, then May long, given that things can change, forecasts can change, and weather can be unpredictable, what would your advice be?
Bring warm clothing because the weather can, it's May. The weather can change so quickly. So make sure you have warm clothing along. Make sure that you have access to heat if you need it. I mean, some people have really good sleeping bags, and they can stay warm that way. But make sure if you're in an RV and you can have heat, then have a heater going. But yeah, the change of clothes is a big thing too.
Yeah. And I would think you also want things waterproof in terms of like footwear and shoes or socks.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally, a change of them.
Especially if you're in a tent.
Yeah. What about ground sheets? What do you recommend? Any advice there?
Ground sheets like...
Do you put something underneath your tent to try to protect it from moisture?
We didn't way back when because it just wasn't done much back then. But yeah, a lot of people now will put a tarp underneath or something underneath to keep the moisture out of their tent.
Yeah. What do you find the best way to plan and make sure you don't forget something?
We make lists. We are list people. We have our pre-camping list. We have our first time in spring camping list. And it's just all these things that you on the road and you get to point A or wherever you're going and you don't have what you want. So we kind of have this list, everything from sunglasses to charging cables to, if you're on meds, for those that need meds, make sure you bring your meds along, especially if you're gone for a longer time. So making that list and then having that repeating list of things to do and being able to check it off and saying, yeah, okay, I got that ready. We got that ready. Make sure the RV is ready. Make sure the things are working in the RV. Don't wait to get to the campground to try your water pump and find out that it's not working.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And making sure that it's ready too. What do you do? I guess you have to think about emergencies. What do you do if you're on the road and you blow a tire?
Yeah.
Who do you call?
Yeah. We have AAA, the RV version of AAA. And we've only had to use it once, and that was 2 winters ago. We were heading down to the U.S., and of course, it's partnered with CAA in Canada, but AAA in the States. And so our starter had frozen up, and so they had to come and do some work for us. But we're back on the road after that. So there's a few other things out there. There's a few other companies that offer RV service as well. I don't know them that well. But for us, it's CAA or AAA, and make sure that we have that. So if something does happen on the road, you're covered.
A lot of people look at an RV and think, gosh, how expensive is the gas?
We're fortunate. We have a little diesel engine in our van, and we stick to 100 kilometers an hour because we're never in a hurry to get anywhere, and we average 27 to 29 miles to the gallon. So for us in an RV, that's good. If you have the bigger Class A RVs, it's much lower. You're spending a lot more money on fuel. So it's a budget thing. For some, they can afford it, and then they'll use that. But if it's not, there's a lot of lighter weight trailers and RVs out there where you can do it much more affordably as well, too.
Yeah. You mentioned going down to the States.
Yeah.
Do you have special places there you like to visit?
We've done 2 long trips now in retirement to the States. The first one was into Texas and New Mexico and Arizona and California. And I think our favorite one, was a 4-month trip, and our favorite part was doing the Pacific Coast Highway. It was our first time, and it was unbelievable.
You'd recommend it?
Oh, yeah, highly. We want to go do it again.
What makes it so spectacular?
I love the ocean. So just seeing the ocean is great. But then seeing the redwood trees, my goodness. To see these trees that are 2,500 years old, and they're so tall. Like, it was just, you just stand there in awe. Like, it's wonderful. So it was fun seeing that. And then last winter, we were in Florida for almost a month, almost 2 months, together with our friends from British Columbia. And it was great, like spending time at the beach and the Gulf Coast area. That was a lot of fun. So, yeah, there's a lot of places.
I've heard of people boondocking.
Oh, yeah.
How would you explain boondocking to someone who didn't know that term?
Boondocking is basically camping for free. So it's much more available in the U.S. than in Canada. There are sites in Canada that you find. We found some really great ones last year in New Brunswick and in Ontario. But boondocking is basically camping with no services, no electrical, no water services, no bathrooms, nothing like that. And you're just dry camping. You're just by yourself with your RV, and you're self-contained.
Have you ever had any concerns with doing that?
Lorraine makes fun of me, but yeah, last year we were staying at one. It was called Wolf River, just outside of Thunder Bay, and it was a road I shouldn't have gone down with our van, but I did anyway. And we were so alone, and it was so remote. I didn't feel comfortable. And Lorraine said, "Well, if you don't feel comfortable, then she's okay, because only I have to worry. She doesn't have to worry." So.
Oh, because you're worrying she doesn't have to.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
So you just try to be safe and trust your instincts.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
absolutely.
But it is very common in the U.S. though. So.
Where do you find out about it? Where's the best website?
There is a website called Harvest Host and Boondockers Welcome. And Harvest Host is one, you pay a membership fee, but then you get to camp for free at wineries or breweries or church parking lots, or it's a variety of things. It could be a little farm. It could be anything. So you camp for free, and then they sometimes have stores and they expect you to kind of buy something, so a bottle of wine or whatever at the store. But that's the Harvest Host site, and then they have the Boondocker site. So you go on there, and on their map you circle the area that you're kind of going to, and it shows all the different boondocking sites that are available.
And you say it's worth it.
Oh yeah. It's fun because you're so remote, and you're not crowded or overcrowded by other people either.
Yeah. Probably really interesting way to meet people as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, Wade, I want to thank you for coming in today.
Oh, good. Thanks for having me.
So you're heading off camping on Sunday?
Yeah, we're gonna leave Sunday.
And where are you heading to again?
We are heading to, I can't say where yet because we're going to be doing a video about it. But but we're heading into Alberta, and we're meeting some friends. And it's a campground both of us have never been to, both couples. So we're looking forward to it.
Your YouTube page is called On the Off Ramp.
That's right.
How much fun is it to make that?
It's a lot of fun.
It is?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun with it. And it's fun sharing our experiences because so many other people are trying to do similar things, and we get to share that with them. So
good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in. Happy trails, safe travels. If there's one last thing you'd like to say to anyone who's hesitant to try camping or RVing, what would it be?
If you haven't done it before, rent if nothing else. Just try it out and see if you can borrow something. Try it, but I think you'll love it. It's just a good way to get out and be in the outdoors.
Wade Kaler, thank you so much. Say hi to Lorraine for us,
I will
please.
do that.
And again, their YouTube page is called On the Off Ramp.
Angeline Tadaweo hosts The Block.
Afrobeats to jazz, hip-hop to R&B, calypso, Kez the Band, Michelle Montano, Bob Marley, Bounty Killer. So we really give all these artists a chance to shine, and the key is in the programming, in making it make sense, and making sure that the music is fluid, a fluid experience.
The Block with Angeline Tadaweo. Available now on CBC Listen.
It's 12:56. Faith Fundal has just walked into the studio. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello, Janet Stewart.
What is that on Up to Speed today?
Well, we've been hearing about the fire in northern Manitoba. As we know, hundreds of residents have been forced out of their homes, and that includes hundreds of students as well who are now out of school. We're going to hear about what's being done to help those students stay on track for the rest of the semester. So we'll hear from the division superintendent coming up on the program just after the 3 o'clock World this hour.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Faith Fundal hosts Up to Speed, which runs from 3 to 6 p.m. here on CBC Radio 189.3 FM, everywhere on the CBC Listen app and on the news app now as well, plus on your CBC Manitoba YouTube page. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tomorrow, what are we talking about I call in tomorrow? You know what we're talking about? Canada Post, mail service. What do you think of your mail service? Is that something you still think our tax dollars should be going to? Canada Post is in financial trouble, so to-the-door service, is that something that should still be provided in 2024? You can weigh in on that anytime you like, 204-788-30... Is that true? No, 3797. 788-3797. Thanks to everyone who helped us put together this program today. Josh Crabb was handling news for you. Riley Laychuk is our weather specialist. Travis Peterson is making sure that all our interviews get up there on YouTube for folks to watch us. Dylan Longhurst takes care of all the technical direction on our show. Corey Funk's been the wonderful studio director for the last few days. Really, thank you, Corey. Show producer is Nellie Gonzalez, and senior producer of audio is Leif Larson. This is CBC Radio 1. Up next is Unreserved, celebrating 10 years in broadcasting. I'm Janet Stewart, and I hope you'll join us tomorrow. Have a great Tuesday.